Hi, in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about your gestures, your body posture, your hand gestures, because 93% of communication has to do with your gestures and your tone of your voice. And the other 7% deals with the words that you use. So I'm going to be providing you with all the information you need to have in order to make the proper hand gestures and the proper body motions and tweaks to ensure that your audience and the people you're speaking to are getting the right communication and ensuring that they understand that you are listening and you know how to communicate very well with your gestures. And you can actually use these gestures and these prompts that I'm going to be showing you to not just enhance how you speak, but also to watch how others speak, to get those telltale signs of are they interested, are they not interested, and so on and so forth. So it's going to be pretty informative. Now I'm going to start from the head and go all the way down to the torso. But starting from the head, the very first thing you need to know is at no point in time should the head or the neck be covered or abstracted from anybody else seeing you. So you always want to make sure that there's no obstacles in place. Your hands should not be covering your face in any way, shape, or form. That's the easiest thing to do and say in order to ensure that people can see your face and know that you have nothing to hide. So let's start from the head and understand facial expressions, what the hands are doing on your face and all that stuff. So the very first thing, we'll start with the ears. Now, whenever you're rubbing your ears or you see anybody rubbing their ears, it's not a good sign. It means like they're not too sure. They're thinking about it and they're not too sure about what they're hearing. So what they're hearing is like, maybe it's not going in right and they're a little bit uncomfort there. So that's why people touch their ears, and you shouldn't touch your ears. The next thing is the forehead. The rubbing of the forehead means that this concept that they're listening to is not really jiving or going down well, or there is some kind of concern. So if you rub your forehead, it means you're concerned about what you're listening to, or if you see somebody rubbing their head, it means they're a little bit concerned about what is being said. So rubbing your head and your forehead is not where you want to be. So pay attention that no one sees you rubbing your head, because they get this nonverbal cues that you are not really aligned. And that might not be the kind of message you want to spread. The next one is touching the eyes and rubbing the eyes. Rubbing the eyes means you don't want to see what's going on. Something is not going well. That's why you're rubbing your eyes. So you don't want to rub your eyes. Now, top of your head, the crown, you don't want to ever show that, because it means that you're not paying attention any longer. You have basically disconnected from the meeting when you're looking down. Now I know cell phones are a thing and people might be looking at their cell phones. That's different. I'm just talking about if somebody's just looking down and not looking at you or paying attention. The next thing is the mouth, the lips. Now the lips should always be however you normally have your lips. But when you start sucking in your lips like that, that's also not a good sign. So try your best not to suck your lips in or, bite your lips. It means you have something to say, but you're holding it in. You see, these nonverbal body language, it's really interesting if you just pay attention to all the cues. So if you see somebody sucking their lips in, it means that they're probably biting their words and they're not really agreeing with what you're saying. So be very careful that you don't do it, and that if you see somebody doing it, try and understand that the moment in which you start seeing them do it, you might have a message that you need to tweak to ensure that your audience is actually understanding what you're saying. So you might want to dig a little deeper if you see somebody rubbing their eyes, rubbing their neck, sucking in their lips. You might want to dig a little bit deeper into the topic if you're the one speaking and communicating, because there's some opposition on the other side. So these are telltale signs that you can use in a meeting and when making a pitch. So when you see those cues, know that you have a little bit more work to do, and do not give up those cues yourself. If you're the one presenting and you're listening to somebody giving you feedback, because if somebody sees you rubbing your eyes and they're giving you feedback, then they know that you're pretty much not paying too much attention, or you have a disagreement with them, which is probably not what you want to do if you're pitching. So we've talked about the face. Now let's go a little bit lower and start talking about the shoulders and the neckline. Now, again, never touch your neck, never touch your face. These are things we've just discussed, but your neck, rubbing your neck is not a good sign. So you want to keep away from rubbing your neck or putting your hand behind your neck, like scratching the back of your head. Just keep your whole face open, and let's not obstruct that in any way, shape, or form. Now, your shoulders and your earlobes should be, pretty much aligned. So you're sitting up straight at all times. No slouching, no putting your hand under the desk. We'll talk about that shortly, but no slouching. The very best thing to do and to remember when it comes to your shoulders and your earlobes and keeping them straight is, one of the things you can do is you can put your elbows on the armrest on the chair. Try and stake out the chairs that has the armrest. Those are the best in meetings. So you can put your elbows on the armrest and your hands slightly on the table. It puts your shoulders in a perfect position. Now, if your chair doesn't have an armrest, you most likely would just have to put your arms on the table so your hands are visible. We'll talk about hands in a second. But this is the proper position to sit when you're in a conference to show that you are engaged. Now let's talk about the shoulders and tilting of the shoulders when necessary. So what research has shown is that the tilting of the shoulders and the tilting of the neck slightly when in a conversation can amplify how people respond to you in a positive way. I'll show you what I mean. Now, let's say I'm in a conversation and I'm agreeing with what you're saying. The first instinct is to nod. So I can nod like that. So yes, and that's exactly what you want to do. You want to nod. So use your face to nod. And then if I want to agree with what you're saying, and let's say, I tilt my shoulder a little bit, I nod, and I lean forward slightly. Look at the difference. Now that's a big difference too. You see, tilt of the shoulder just a little bit, preferably towards the individual. So let's say they're right there. So tilt, nod, lean in. Now, leaning in shows you are interested. So I'm using my upper body to lean in to show I'm interested. I'm nodding, which shows I'm paying attention and I'm interested. And a slight tilt of the head is a fantastic way to just amplify your agreement and the fact that you're listening. So you see this? That's really good compared to, big difference. My shoulders are straight, I'm nodding, yes. I'm almost robotic at this point, but slight tilt and tilt of the neck just slightly and nod. And if you want to even take this to the next level, raise your eyebrows just a little bit. Okay, and always have a big smile on your face. Now, there's something like a fake smile and a real smile. Fake smiles, every human being can tell what a fake smile looks like subconsciously. So you want to make sure you're not doing fake smiles. Now you can practice smiling before you go into a meeting, but what you want to do is you want to make sure your lips smile and it affects your eyes. Fake smiles do not affect your eyes. Real smiles affect your eyes. So make sure you do a smile. See that? As opposed to a fake smile. Real, fake. So it has to go up here. So make sure your cheeks move up or elevate just a little bit so they affect the eyes. That's how you can do a real smile. That's how you can agree with someone in a meeting. Now, the tilt of the neck and the tilt of the shoulder really important here. The reason being, you want to tilt towards the direction of the individual that you're listening to. So you want to also move your upper body towards the direction. So let's say I have an imaginary person over there and I want to agree or I want to listen to what they're saying. This is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to tilt my neck, tilt my shoulder, and I'm going to move my body just a little bit in their direction. So my chest is in their direction. Now you don't want to do the whole thing, just slightly. You can do that. So if it's in that direction, there's a tilt of my neck, and I'm going to move forward a little bit. That's how you are. And now if you have a swivel chair, even better. The best chairs, just for you to know, the best chairs are the chairs with an armrest, so you can rest your elbow on there, and a swivel. That's the best chair in the room. If there's only one, you grab that chair. Now, the best place to sit in a room, I know this is about body language, but best place to sit in a room is opposite the most important person in the room. So if you get into a room and the most important person, you can sit right across them. That's the best place because they get full view of you and you can look at them directly, and looking into the eyes when you talk is a magnificent way to ensure that the audience and the person you're talking to is listening, because you want to always have that conversation with your eyes too, so they can see you and you can see them. So try and sit opposite from the most important person in a room. So we've done the head, we've done the shoulders, we've done the tilt, we've done the lean in. Let's talk about the hands. Now the hands are very important. So let's talk about the chopping method. Chop. You use this is a chopping method, like karate, right? Chop, chop, chop. Use this when you want to make a point. Like I'm making a point right now. You can also use this for size. For example, this really large business of ours is going to scale magnificently large. And you can use it for small. Now you always want to use your hands in this way and always make sure you are exposing your hands at all times. So large, small, you can also do this for small. If you really want to show like your competitor is nothing when it comes to us, we're big, you can use your hands for large, small, smaller. Now, one thing to note about your hands is they should always be exposed. So we've talked about chop method and all that, but when you're sitting, I want you to sit with your hands exposed. They can be like that, it can be a little bit like that, but exposed. And if you're writing, that's perfectly fine. This is also perfectly fine. Now, there's a hand gesture called the steeple method. You've seen me use it without knowing in the beginning of this video. The steeple method is when you have your hands like this. You can almost find every single president sitting down with this hand gesture, and you can also find a lot of great CEOs who talk like this. This shows you know exactly what you're saying. It knows you are intelligent in the exact topic that is being spoken about, and it gets people to listen to you. Now, the steeple method can also be done this way. If you're on a table, if you're standing, you can stand and do it that way, but you can talk this way. Never have the steeple cover your face. Remember, your face should always be exposed. I've seen people try and elevate their steepling and just cover their face, and it doesn't work that way. Face always exposed. Steeple method, use it when you want to show a sign of intelligence and a sign that you know exactly what you're talking about, like I'm doing right now. So that's the steeple method. So we talk about chop, certainty, steeple, to show that you're intelligent in a certain manner. Now let's talk about opposites. So if you want to say good and bad, two hands. So if you have two different things that you want to talk about, good and bad, or we do things this way, they do things that way, show your hands when there are two opposing factors. Now, you also want to show your hands upwards and not downwards. There have been a lot of research that shows that showing your hands downwards, you get more of a negative feedback from the audience, and they're not likely to take that as serious as hands up. So, hands up it is. So, let's always show our hands in an upward fashion whenever we're talking about things. The next thing I want you to talk about or think about when you're using your hands is with numbers and digits. So whenever you're going to be talking and making, for example, 3 points, I want you to put your fingers or your digits and show 3 points. So we have 3 points that are really significant about our company that makes us do really well. Point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. That is exactly how you should do it. Showing your fingers has shown in studies that the interaction with your audience is much more significant. There's an imprint, and they remember all the points better than if you had just said, our company does 3 things really well. Number 1, we progress into new markets at a much rapid pace. Number 2, we are growing. Number 1. Number 2, number 3, show your digits, show your fingers. You get really far. So we talked about the digits now. Now I want to talk about pointing. So pointing, doing that is not a good idea. I've seen so many people do it. We do these things well. Don't do that. You can do what's called a political point, just like that. And we do these things really well if you have to point. Now, pointing at your whiteboard or pointing at your presentation is okay, but pointing at individuals around you and say, we need all of you, that's not okay. If you're like, we need all of you, and I'll talk about how you can do that better in a second. But this is how you point, unless you're pointing at yourself for some reason, or you're pointing at your presentation, and that's okay. Next way I want you to use your hands is emotional. When you want to call to action that you really care about something, I want you to do what I just did. Touch your heart, touch your chest with your 2 hands. I'll give you an example. We really care about our customers, and we take them and everything they do into heart. And we care about our employees so much that we are going to be making changes. As opposed to, we care about our customers and what they're doing, and we take exactly what they're doing to heart, and we care about our employees. See the big difference? By touching and holding my heart, I'm showing subconsciously through gesture and nonverbal communication that I truly love these guys. I truly care about the employees and my customers and my partners because I'm holding my heart and I'm holding my chest. That is exactly what you want to do. So whenever you're talking about something you care about, hold on to your heart. Next thing is when you want to bring community into it. So you want to talk about, we all here can invest in our lovely company because we do so much, and I know we can all do this together. All, we, us. Bring your arms together like you're going to start a big hug. You don't have to close it. Just like you're going to start a big hug. Us, we, all. Whenever you're doing that, bring it in. Bring it in. So your arms out, going there, and you're bringing it in. That's exactly what you want to do when you're using comments like that. So we bring it all together. We all love our customers. See how that's done? Doing this with your hands and these gestures, these are the common ones that you can implement and you can look out for when you're doing a presentation. Do this and you will notice a significant change in how you communicate, and everyone's going to absolutely love what you're doing, and you are going to be able to get the audience involved, and you're all going to be very, very happy with the outcome of your business. Now, here are a few no-nos or don't do's when you're talking and speaking. Don't point. Don't play with your hands. Do not put your hands under the table. Your hands should always be above table and visible to everyone, because if you start talking like this, people will wonder what's going on with their hands and are they okay. This makes you have the proper posture, and it also signifies that you're not hiding anything. This goes back to caveman mentality, but our brains are wired that way. So make sure your hands are always visible, never under the table, and make sure you present your hands even when you're walking in. There are studies that show that when you're walking into a room, one of the first things people look at to judge you, very first 7 seconds, is your hands and your face. So make sure your hands are always exposed so people don't think you're hiding anything. Again, this is nonverbal communication. I know you're not, but just so people don't think you are. And it doesn't block their mind from thinking a certain way about you. So keep your hands visible. I know these are non-verbal communications and gestures are a lot. Please watch this video as much as you can. Share it with as many people as you can so they too understand how they can communicate properly in a meeting with their gestures, and they know that exactly what they're doing is the right thing they need to be doing. I'll catch you in the next video. Till then, stay blessed.